wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, the Transformers. The Transformers.
Welcome everybody to another exciting edition of Transformers Reviews. Well, today guys, I'm really kind of happy to take a look at the new Power of the Primes, Slag. So with that being said, let's jump right in on him. And I have to say, as far as an old school look, they have nailed it. But like LeVar Burton used to say, I'm reading Rainbow, don't take my word for it. Let's just take a look at the old guy himself. This is the original G1 Slag. And, you know, obviously there's going to be a few differences, but this toy is pretty much faithful to his on-screen appearance, much like the new Power of the Primes version is. And like I mentioned, you can see he's considerably smaller than the old one. Now, just because of the age that this Slag has, his mouth doesn't want to stay closed or anything. However, on the new Power of the Primes, they did go ahead and give him a mouth, but it's pretty stiff and it opens pretty wide, not, you know, however wide you want to open it without it looking ridiculous. So if you notice on Slag's side here on the new Power of the Primes figure, unlike the detailing that they had for that old figure, then they went ahead and added this 5mm peg hole, so if you want to, you could actually take his rifle and plug it in there. And, you know, they have one on the other side. And overall, I mean, I've seen worse. I personally wouldn't mind displaying it like that. He does, however, have this peg hole on the top, too, which you can kind of see goes just like, whew, straight through to his body. So if you wanted to, you could also plug that up here. Now, one thing I've noticed is this thing is super loose in this peg hole. I don't know why that is, because on the side ones, it holds in there pretty firmly and securely. Now, what this one actually is intended for is also, on these new Power of the Prime figures, they have this combiner tech. And this is actually Slag's right here. And the reason I have it kind of unfolded, because this deal, like you saw with the gun, I feel that it just swivels way too easy whenever it's in there. Now, I don't know whether it's just on mine or if it's a line-wide problem with him. But to kind of counter that, what I've done is I've gone ahead and kind of folded out the hand pieces. So that way, whenever I go ahead and plug it in there, I can fold the thumbs down. That holds it on the side. And that little bump, you can kind of see, then the fingers just kind of fold over that, and it holds it pretty securely. And so if you go ahead, you can plug any Prime Master in there, and let's see how that looks. And I think it's just, personally on him, I think it's a little too much. Now see, on Jazz and Swoop, it doesn't look bad at all. It looks really good. Like, I mean, but on certain figures, it just doesn't work. I'm sorry. And unfortunately, I think Slag is one of those. Let's go ahead and we'll throw in another Power of the Primes figure. See how he stacks up to Slash. Hard to fit him in here because he's in a flying position, but let's see how they stack up. Let's go ahead and let's see how Slag does in robot mode. Alrighty, guys, and here we have Slag in his robot mode. Now, Slag is a unique case because as cool as his Dino mode is, there's one issue that I've found with his robot mode, and besides that, it's actually pretty good. Now, I'll go ahead and address that. If you can kind of see on his robot mode arm here, you can see that his hand extends out, but really you can't have any weapons that go any farther back than where the millimeter peg hole is. That's why his gun is designed like that. Now, that actually would prohibit him, you know, if you notice he doesn't have a sword. And now, the reason, you know, like, say you wanted to give him Swoop sword. Well, the reason is that the guard on that sword goes back so far that he actually can't even hold that if you wanted to have him use it. And that's why I have this kind of set up like this. Now, this is the Prime armor, and I'm using it as kind of like, you know, I guess an arm shield or whatever. And I went ahead, and the only way that I could give him another weapon was to actually, if you notice on the thumbs, they have the 5mm peg holes right there. So that's what I did, is I just went ahead and plugged the gun into the thumb piece right here, and that's the only other way that he can hold an additional weapon, because a lot of the weapons that the Transformers use, they're not all designed like this gun. This is kind of a rarity. Usually they have a little bit that goes back past where the peg is on the bottom. So that is a little bit of a drawback, but I mean there are ways around it, as you can see, like this. Now this much like I had on Swoop, this is just, you know, a third-party handgun here. But you know, and as just, you know, just the armor on his arm, it doesn't look bad. I mean, especially with the spike deal, like for the Dinobots, it goes with their whole motif. But we'll go ahead and take that off of him real quick. And while we got it here, we'll just go ahead and move through. Now, unlike Jazz, which just like clipped into the bumper and not even really well, the way that they made this work was, you can see he has the 5mm peg right here in the bottom of his beast jaw. Well, you just take that and plug it in and go ahead and get it, and then you could put, you know, whatever Prime Master. That's an option to you. So anyway, I mean, it's still ridiculous, and I never really use it like this, but I wanted to show you guys what it looks like. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, he actually does have a head that moves to a certain degree. Like, that's as far as it can look that way and look the other way. And I mean, he's spot on for a G1 Slag. Matter of fact, here he is with the old man himself. But I just kind of want to show you guys what he looks like with him. And yeah, I mean, he has great range of motion. He's a really stocky figure. As far as one of the original Dinobots that we ever saw in the cartoon series, he's solid, and I like it. He can stand very well. I mean, overall, I love the design of it. You know, so like I said, just aside from the hand thing where he can't really hold any other weapons other than the one he comes with, perfect. So let me go ahead and show you what it looks like with Swoop again. Let's see how those guys next to each other, and show you where they kind of stack up on the food chain. Obviously, this is Magnus Prime from the Siege on Cybertron set, so even though we're looking up at him, the top of his head and like the top of Swoop's little head fin here, they come up to right about where Optimus's crotch is. So I mean, obviously that's just to help you guys understand where the difference is between these two size classes. But anyway, other than that, alrighty, well, let's go ahead and move on to the form that I'm most excited to show you guys when we combine these guys with Skylinks to form part of the Skyrain character, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, and here he is as part of Skyrain. I gotta say, Skyrain being a beast mode, or at least having his core combiner mode having a beast mode head, when you have guys like the Dinobots who are themselves, you know, have beast modes, that just unintentionally, I think that helps tie it together. Another thing that helps tie it together that I was pleasantly surprised once I saw it, I was like, wow, that's kind of cool, is if you look here, he's sporting red and gold on his beast mode. Well, look at Skyrain up here. He also has gold and red, so it was unintentional, but it really helps tie these two figures together. And, you know, to have such a good figure like Slag, to be able to do that, or if you didn't even want to use him as a combiner, he's great. As we've seen in Beast and Robot mode, he's cool on his own like he was in the old cartoon. And, you know, that's one of the things that I think makes Slag such a great figure, is it's there if you want to, but you don't have to use it. But if you choose to use him as a combiner, this is just one of the many possibilities. You know, so I hope you guys really enjoyed this review of Power of the Prime Slag, or as they prefer to call him, Slug. And anyway, guys, we will see you in another review.